If I'm Bob Iger, you know what we're doing? Emergency meeting. We're putting Snow White on hold for 2 years, and guess what?
Smart.
Pay her a couple $1,000,000, go away. We're going to bring another person to play this role.
Imagine being Bob Iger at Disney, watching your $300 million investment crumble because your lead actress keeps saying things that upset your fans. That's exactly what happened with the live-action Snow White, now considered one of Disney's biggest mistakes ever. At the center of this mess, Rachel Zegler, whose comments turned what should have been a guaranteed hit into a total disaster. The problem started long before the movie came out in March 2025.
It has proven to be Disney's worst investment ever in the history of Disney investments. I mean, they've gone through various scandals with this girl, but because she has this underlying anger and hatred in her.
In early interviews, Zegler didn't seem excited about the classic story she was bringing to life. Instead, she criticized the original 1937 animated film, Disney's very first feature-length movie and the foundation of their entire empire. She admitted she didn't like the original cartoon and only watched it once as a child. Even worse for Disney fans, she dismissed the love story that millions had cherished for generations. She described the prince in unflattering terms and suggested the original tale was outdated. This left many fans wondering if she even wanted to play Snow White at all. Disney executives were caught completely off guard. Inside sources revealed they held emergency meetings about this PR nightmare unfolding right before their eyes. They postponed the film's release by a whole year. Not for creative reasons as they claimed, but to distance themselves from Zegler's comments and film new scenes.
That always has to take it like one step too far, essentially implying that it's wrong and backwards and it's not 1937, whatever. That was like her initial spree, and everyone was like, okay, do you want to be Snow White or do you hate Snow White? Do you want to destroy Snow White?
The damage control went into overdrive. Disney reportedly told Zegler to post more positive messages about Snow White on social media. Soon, photos appeared showing her dressed as Disney princesses from childhood, trying to prove she actually loved the characters. Many viewers saw through this obvious attempt to fix her earlier mistakes. Just when Disney thought things couldn't get worse, they did. After the 2024 presidential election, Zegler posted angry political comments that alienated even more potential viewers. Then she followed up a promotional tweet about Snow White with a controversial statement about Middle East politics, just months after events that had deeply divided public opinion. Disney executives were reportedly furious. One thing became clear. When you're promoting a family movie meant for everyone, angering half your audience is a terrible marketing strategy.
You had Rachel Zegler on the docket too. I think actresses should be quiet. I understand why.
The new version of Snow White was vastly different from the original tale. While the 1937 version focused on Snow White's romance and her relationship with the prince, the 2025 remake shifted entirely to her inner journey and finding herself. The romance was purposely minimized. Critics called this approach modern feminism gone too far, suggesting the film implied women couldn't be both strong leaders and fall in love. This message felt forced and preachy to many viewers who grew up loving the original story. Perhaps the most controversial decision involved the Seven Dwarfs, key characters in the original story. Early reports suggested they would be dramatically changed or removed completely. When images finally leaked showing computer-generated magical creatures instead of the beloved dwarfs, fans were outraged. Opening weekend attendance was so low that one insider joked there were more dwarfs than viewers in most theaters.
She hated Snow White, mocked the fact that there was a prince and that she falls in love as opposed to leaning into her own power. We could go on. They postponed the release of this thing, Ben, for a year because their star, Rachel Zegler, was so unlikable.
The CGI replacements for the original characters became a symbol of everything wrong with the remake. Despite having everything needed for success, Zegler as Snow White, Gal Gadot as the Evil Queen, impressive music from the creators of La La Land, a massive marketing budget, the film bombed spectacularly. Reports indicated that Disney executives, including CEO Bob Iger himself, closely watched social media reactions with growing concern. Each new trailer was scrutinized for public response, affecting decisions about future Disney remakes. When Snow White finally hit theaters in March 2025, the results were catastrophic. Despite its enormous budget and marketing push, the film lost hundreds of millions of dollars. A financial disaster many linked directly to the controversies surrounding Zegler. Industry experts believe the movie might have succeeded if the lead actress hadn't repeatedly criticized the source material. The film could have relied on the beloved story and well-made trailers to attract audiences, but the controversies overshadowed everything else. This wasn't Zegler's only public relations problem.
They've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now, and how they had her tweet out like a little, "Yay, Snow White, can't wait, so excited, I love to play her."
Just weeks before Snow White's release, she made surprising claims about experiencing discrimination on the set of West Side Story, the very film that launched her career. These comments about Steven Spielberg's production shocked Hollywood insiders. She also raised eyebrows by complaining about working conditions on Snow White, demanding hourly pay for time spent in costume. Industry veterans pointed out that leading roles in major films typically come with multi-million-dollar contracts regardless of costume time. The Snow White failure has changed how Hollywood views Disney's remake strategy. The studio had been aggressively remaking its animated classics, but sources say several planned remakes are now on hold as they reconsider their approach. For Zegler, the career impact could be severe. Industry observers predict she'll struggle to find major roles after these back-to-back controversies. Her reputation for being difficult and criticizing her own projects has made studios wary of working with her. In the months following Snow White's box office disaster, rumors began circulating that Zegler might quit acting altogether. Several entertainment news outlets reported that the actress was reconsidering her future in Hollywood after the intense backlash. Social media users who opposed her political statements celebrated this possibility, claiming her woke agenda had backfired spectacularly.
And she did it and got like millions of views, and they were like, "Good job, Rachel." And then she, like, minutes later followed it up with, "And never forget, free Palestine." This is just like a few months after 10/7.
One insider claimed Zegler was devastated by the public reaction and hadn't expected such strong opposition to her comments about the classic film. She genuinely believed she was standing up for modern values, but didn't realize how many people would see it as disrespecting something they loved, the source revealed. Other reports suggested major studios were already quietly removing her from consideration for upcoming projects. A casting director anonymously shared that Zegler had become too controversial for family-friendly films, the very genre that had launched her career. Adding fuel to these rumors, Zegler took an extended break from social media following Snow White's release. Her silence was unusual for an actress who had been so outspoken, leading many to speculate she was retreating from public life. When she finally returned to posting, her content noticeably avoided any mention of Snow White or her future acting plans. However, some industry experts suggested a different strategy might be at play. These analysts believed Zegler could simply be laying low until the controversy dies down, a common tactic in Hollywood when stars face intense public scrutiny. "It's the classic wait for the news cycle to move on approach," explained one PR consultant. "She's young enough in her career that she can afford to disappear for a year or two, then make a carefully planned comeback once people have forgotten about Snow White."
Yes, Gal Gadot, whatever.
Gadot.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
She's Jewish, and apparently this actually, all hell broke loose.
This perspective gained support when insiders noted that despite the controversy, Zegler still had defenders in powerful positions within the industry. Several directors and producers reportedly expressed private support for her, believing the backlash was overblown and temporary. If true, this could mean Zegler isn't planning to quit acting permanently, but rather strategically stepping back until the right opportunity presents itself. Several talent agencies allegedly approached her about changing her public image and rebuilding her reputation. These efforts would require her to step back from political commentary and focus solely on acting, something sources close to Zegler claimed she was reluctant to do. She doesn't want to be silenced just to save her career, one friend reportedly stated. The Snow White disaster shows how tricky it is to update beloved classics. Disney failed to find the right balance between modernizing the story and respecting what made the original special. Audiences who cherished the original's innocence and straightforward storytelling rejected this new version. What makes this case particularly important is that Snow White isn't just any Disney film. It's the cornerstone of their entire animation legacy. Fans who grew up with the original didn't appreciate what they saw as disrespect toward this pioneering achievement in film history. As Disney moves forward, the lessons are obvious. When remaking beloved classics, studios need to respect the original's spirit while making thoughtful updates for today's audiences. And perhaps most importantly, make sure your lead actors actually appreciate the legacy they're representing. The best version of Snow White may always be the 1937 original that captivated generations with its simple message about kindness, courage, and true love. Despite Disney's efforts to reimagine the tale, some stories are perhaps best left untouched, preserved in their original form as treasured memories of childhood wonder and magic. As for Rachel Zegler, only time will tell if she can overcome the shadow of this controversy. But her story serves as a warning about the huge responsibility that comes with stepping into iconic roles loved by millions around the world.